Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of In Pursuit of a Parlay. Chris Horwedel here. Season 2, Episode 12. We've got a lot to dig into. We're going to cover 3 different sports today. Let's get right to it. As always, I have bovadasportsbook.com open in front of me. We're going to use all of the lines for this week's parlay from Bovada, as always. What a great week last week was. Thank you guys all for your support. Thank you for the continued support in the show, for continuing to grow it, to help us get bigger and bigger and bigger every single week. It's heartwarming, it's outstanding, and I just hope that we're providing you a little something every week. As I always tell you guys, and as we say on the bottom of the screen, look, hitting a parlay, especially something this big, is incredibly difficult. I encourage you to pick and choose from the selections I'm going to give you today. It's going to give you a better shot to make some money off of this and put them into whatever you're feeling at the time as well. Let's go first game right here. You see, we're in the National Basketball Association. That's something we haven't done in a little while. Toronto Raptors at the Indiana Pacers. We're showing about a coin flip. Who's going to win this one? Both teams have been inconsistent this season. The Raptors 7-6, second place in the Atlantic Division behind the Boston Celtics, led by Fred VanVleet, who is day-to-day with a little injury right now. We're not sure if he's going to be in the lineup tonight. For the Pacers, 5-6, third place in the Central Division. This is Team Tyrese. Tyrese Halliburton has been one of the breakout stars of the National Basketball Association this year. 21.6 points, 9.9 assists to just 3 turnovers a game for this Pacers team. This is this fun, young Pacers team. We're showing the Pacers are going to cover this one about 54% of the time in our numbers here, but I don't buy it. I want to start plus money. We're going to take Raptors money line plus 115 at Bovada for our first pick of the day, and not a bad way to start being in the positives. Now we're going to make our way to the world of college football. You're going to have to bear with me here 1 second. We're going to go all the way down to Texas, where number 4 TCU is taking on the Texas Longhorns, ranked number 18 in the country. It's a 7 o'clock start. And there it is. Right here, we're showing Texas is going to win this one outright about 73% of the time. TCU, the number 4 team in the country, 9-0, first place in the Big 12. 6-0 in conference. The quarterback Max Duggan has been an absolute star for the team, along with running back Kendry Miller. They're an outstanding offense. 21st overall, 298 yards. Passing per game, 13th in the nation in rushing yards, 219.7. Tied for points 4. Most points scored in a game this season, 43.1. And a better than average defense as well. For Texas, it's all about Quinn Ewers and Bijan Robinson. Robinson's been on something of a tear of late. The team is 6-3, second place in the Big 12, and they have a 4-2 conference record. Though a lot of that happened while Ewers was out with an injury. We're showing Texas is going to cover this one about 54% of the time, but that's not where we are. I think we're going to take TCU, is what our numbers are saying here. We're going to take TCU plus the 7, minus 105 at Bovada for our second pick of this parlay. And it's one that I feel awfully good about. 2 picks in our parlay goes up to plus 320. Game number 3. And this is going to be a bit of a 180 from where we've been in the past. 7:30 start on ESPN2. We have got number 15 North Carolina taking on the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. You know, I'm talking about the Deeks every week. We're showing Wake Forest is going to win this one about 54% of the time. North Carolina's 8-1. They're in first place in the ACC Coastal, 5-0 conference record, led by breakout star quarterback Drake May. He's also their leading rusher. Kind of like a better version of Daniel Jones, honestly. Passing yards, they are 6th in the nation, 329.8 per game, to go along with 167 rushing yards per game. They're top 10 in the country in points scored at 40.6. For Wake Forest, they're 6-3. They're 6th place in the ACC Atlantic 2-3 conference record, and they have been killing me lately. Just utterly killing me lately. We've talked about this team every week. They're a great passing team. They're a below average running team. We don't need to dig too much more into this. And this is another one where we're seeing the numbers say Wake Forest is going to cover this one about 75% of the time. I'm over it. I'm over Wake Forest. That's just where I am. This is going to be North Carolina win outright. I believe in Drake May. We're going to take positive money for the second time in 2 picks. Plus 160. Yeah, we're going to take the plus 160 money line at Bovada. And that is going to take our parlay now 3 picks in up to plus 991. Big money, big money, big money. Let's turn our attentions to the National Football League. We're going to have to do some scrolling here. We're going to have to do some getting out of this screen here. We got to find this. Football. I'm going to maybe take this down. Excuse the formatting for 1 second. Bring it right back up. Sometimes it's all on the same page, sometimes it isn't. First game, we're going to talk about the Denver Broncos heading to Tennessee to take on the Tennessee Titans. 1 o'clock start on Sunday. And we're showing the Titans are going to win this one about 60% of the time outright. Denver is 3-5, 3rd place in the AFC West, and it's been a disaster. This is a team that gave up all these draft picks for Russell Wilson and ended up trading away one of their best players at the deadline in Bradley Chubb. Things have not gone the way they've hoped for, and this team is just terribly coached right now. They're a below-average passing team. They're a below-average rushing team. They are a good defense, 16.5 points per game against, to 2nd in the NFL, and that's something to keep an eye on. For the Titans, they're 5-3. They're in 1st place in a weird AFC South. Ryan Tannehill's the big question mark here. He and his ankle injury are questionable this week. I think he's going to play. I think we've seen the end of the Malik Willis era for the immediate future. It's a great running team, and Derrick Henry is hitting his stride. We're showing Tennessee's going to cover this one more often than not, and that's where we're going to land here. Tennessee -3, even money at Bovada, and that's going to take our parlay now 4 picks in up to plus 2,083. This is going to be we're going to be decently into 5 digits. This is going to be big money. I feel good about this. Let's go to another 1 o'clock start, this time in Chicago. The Detroit Lions head to take on the Chicago Bears. We're showing the Lions, very similar to the last game, going to win this one outright about, the Bears, very similar to this game, going to win this one outright about 60% of the time. They figured some stuff out with Justin Fields. The Lions are 2-6. They're in 4th place in the NFC North. They're back to a team that's in contention for that number 1 overall pick in the draft. Maybe C.J. Stroud's the answer. They need to do something drastic. Unfortunately, I don't know if it's going to be Dan Campbell at the helm when we get there. The Lions are an outstanding offensive team, 8th in the NFL in total passing yards per game, 9th in total rushing yards per game. Not scoring quite as much as those two numbers would suggest. 11th in the NFL in points per game at 23.5. Given those 2 top 10 offensive categories, you'd think maybe a top 5 scoring offense, but no. For Chicago, they are 3-6. They're in 2nd place in the NFC North. And yeah, Justin Fields is making it work. They look good. Well, he looks better running than passing, but that's largely because of what that that passing offense looks like with Velus Jones Jr. and Darnell Mooney and Equanimeous St. Brown and Chase Claypool being their top options. Mooney actually leads the team in receiving yards at 400 with 407. Just a weird Bears team, 3-6, and second place in the NFC North. We're showing the Bears are going to cover this one about 83% of the time. I think this is an absolute lock. This would be one of my locks of the week. Bears cover -3, even money again at Bovada. And that right there is going to take our parlay, 5 picks in, up to plus 40 to 66. Wait till you see what we do with this last game. Just stay tuned in case you were thinking about checking out. Our third NFL game, another 1 o'clock start right here. Houston Texans take on the New York Football Giants. We're showing the Giants are going to win this one about 67% of the time outright. The Texans are 1-6-1. They're in 4th place in the AFC South, arguably the worst team in professional football right now. Davis Mills has been okay. Dameon Pierce has been a bright, shiny light for this offense. The rookie has looked good over the last handful of weeks since getting his opportunity in the starting lineup. The Giants are 6-2. They're in 2nd place, tied with the Dallas Cowboys in the NFC East, 2 games behind the 8-0 Philadelphia Eagles. They're coming off of a little bit of a weird loss last week to the Seahawks where things just didn't seem to coalesce. Things didn't come together. They are a dominant rushing team, 161.5 rushing yards per game, along with a good defense, top 10 in the NFL at 19.6 points per game. We're showing the Lions, another blue team. The Giants are going to cover this one about 62% of the time, and that is where we are. We're going to take the Giants -4.5, -110 at Bovada, and that is going to take our parlay now 6 of 8 picks in up to plus 82.34. Up next, the Dallas Cowboys. You know what? I want to save this game for last. So why don't let's go in a slightly different direction here. We're gonna, as always, we gotta end it with a bang, right? Let's go instead. We're gonna take a look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and Kansas City Chiefs. We want to put a win on the board here for sure. Just be comfortable. We're showing that the Chiefs are going to win this one about 84% of the time. And this is just 2 teams headed in very different directions. The Jaguars, though they come off a win last week against a hapless Raiders team, have looked directionless all season under first-year head coach Doug Peterson. 3-6, 3rd place in the AFC South. And just, they don't have a lot going on, though. Second-year running back Travis Etienne has looked good since they moved James Robinson before the deadline. KC 6-2, 1st place in the AFC West, and this is the Kansas City we know and love. Travis Kelce's been the guy at receiver this year, 659 yards, 7 touchdowns on 57 catches. Patty Mack, 2,605 yards, 21 touchdowns. They are the number 1 team in passing yards per game at 311.8, and the number 1 offense in the NFL at 30.4 points per game. Rushing has been a little bit of an afterthought for this Chiefs team. We're seeing Kansas City's going to cover this 9 about 94% of the time. That scares me a little because this is a gigantic line. Let's see what happens here. If we go money line -450 at Bovada, then we are talking about, we're talking about taking a little less for a safer play. That would bring our parlay 7 picks in up to plus 10,086. If we go against that and we go against the line straight, we're looking at 16,171, but we want to win. That's okay. We're gonna take the safe victory here. Kansas City money line -450, and our parlay 7 picks in up to plus 10,086. Now here's where we wanted to end it. 4:25 start on Sunday. This game, for me, is the lock of the week. The Dallas Cowboys head to Green Bay to take on the Green Bay Packers. We're seeing the Cowboys are going to win this one outright about 2/3 of the time. The Cowboys are 6-2. They are, as I said, tied for second place in the NFC East with the Giants, and they have looked very good outside of a couple of sort of anomaly games for them. They get Dak back, and the passing offense looks a lot better. He looks more and more comfortable every week. Pollard has been the leading rusher this year, 506 yards. Wish they would give him more carries. I think this guy's got more in the tank, but they seem to, at least Jerry Jones seems to believe Zeke is their guy. CeeDee Lamb, the leading receiver, at 556 yards on the season. The Packers have been an unmitigated disaster, 3-6, second place in the NFC North. They're on a 5-game losing streak, including losing 15-9 to the Detroit Lions in a game where Aaron Rodgers threw 3 interceptions, including 2 in the red zone for the first time in his career. They just seem to have given up. So we're showing that Dallas is going to cover this line a substantial amount of the time, but we want to play with this. I want to alternate line this. I want to take a little bit better odds here. We're going to show Packers, Cowboys. I think this is potentially a double-digit win for the Dallas Cowboys. And on that note, we're going to go alternate lines, digging into the bowels of Bovada, and we're going to get value here to finish out this parlay. This is what I'm looking at. Plus 175, -9 alternate line for the Packers. Like I said, or for the Cowboys. I think double-digit win. And let's see what this does. This alternate line, plus 175, is going to take our parlay from 10,086 to 27,912. $100 wins $27,912. Got to get all 8 right, though. Pick and choose. Be smart. That is going to be it for this week's episode of In Pursuit of a Parlay. Like I said, one of the biggest numbers we've seen this season, plus 27,912 at Bovada. And it's been a fun week. Thank you all who have supported us through this season. The show keeps growing and growing and growing, and it's more and more fun. If you're checking out on YouTube, make sure you like, share, subscribe, do all of that stuff. Comment, tell your friends, tell your family, tell people you don't like about the show. Just have them tune in. If you're checking it out on Spotify or whatever platform of your choice, do all this, subscribe to the show, comment, rate, review, all of that good stuff. Thank you so much for your continued support of the show. I've been Chris Horwedel. This has been In Pursuit of a Parlay, and we will be back here next week.